Come with me to a magical place where being labeled the pork queen is a compliment, where being nice is just a way of life, and where all leaders of the free world must pass through. Welcome to Iowa. Whether you're a current Iowan, an Iowa expat, or an Iowan at heart, this show is for you. This is the Iowa Podcast. Real Iowans, real talk, no drama. I'm Justin Brady from the Brady Dental Care Studio. Did you know the Honey Creek is seeing some new life? I read an article in the Des Moines Register, and of course we had to get Beth and Terry Henderson in here, the new owners of the Honey Creek Resort. Now, if you don't know where the Honey Creek is, we're going to talk about that too. But Beth, Terry, thank you so much for coming in the studio. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having us. We're looking forward to this.
So for those that are new to the show, this is your reminder, the Iowa Podcast here. We bring you new, incredible Iowans and incredible Iowa topics every week. So make sure to subscribe. You can do that on iHeart. You can do that on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I almost said, and wherever podcasts are sold. But you know what? These aren't sold. This is free. It will remain that way. Beth and Terry, thanks. You're both in here, obviously, so thank you so much. Let's back up a little bit here. You took over the Honey Creek Resort. It's on Lake Rathbun. You did that in April of 2023. This is really, really recent. The big question is, why?
That's a great question. What we had seen, we actually... a couple of years ago, Beth and I decided to start looking at basically a satellite place for our business, which is an agriculture training business. And while we met, Beth and I did here in Iowa, in Des Moines, and Beth is an Iowan originally and through for that matter. But anyhow, so we were looking for an additional kind of a satellite location. We found a place in Centerville that was just gorgeous. It has beautiful water. It's a haydite quarry. So it had a little lodge on it. We bought that and then proceeded to build an event barn for doing some of our hosting of our agriculture clients. As I mentioned, we do agriculture training in North America. So we built the event barn, and then we built it with the idea, and we bought the property with the idea that we were going to use Honey Creek Resort for hosting of our clients.
Oh.
That was good in theory. But when it got down to reality, as we started getting into things and started getting ready to start using Honey Creek Resort, we started seeing that the hospitality was not going the right direction. Just kind of the overall resort was starting to see a fair amount of deferred maintenance and a fair amount of just demise. And so...
And it was closed in the wintertime.
And then they closed it.
Good point.
Which was somewhat related to COVID, but they kept it closed too for over 8 months out of the year. And
what? Wait, 8 months out of the year it was closed?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Wow, that makes it hard to get any customer momentum, doesn't it?
It sure does. And furthermore, it puts a lot of stress on really what the whole intention of Honey Creek Resort, as far as being a destination for southern Iowa that could be an economic boon.
Yeah.
You can't already do that if you're open 4 months out of the year.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because I've only been there in the summer, and maybe now I know why I've only been there in the summer.
And don't worry about it, because it's now open year-round, so we won't worry about that any longer. We're doing all kinds of activities through the fall, and we'll be doing through the winter, anywhere from we just completed a haunted Honey Creek Resort activity with a headless horseman, a hayride. And
that's great.
We have an amusement train that we now have, and we did the haunted train ride, and it went through out through kind of, we've got some great trails out at Honey Creek Resort, so we made that kind of a haunted trail, and it was just great. I mean, our employees got to dress up as ghouls and goblins and witches and warlocks and all that, so it was a lot of fun. It was just a lot of fun, and now we're getting ready for a big time Thanksgiving feast. That kind of is a tradition. You know, the resort was built back in 2007, opened in 2008, and back in those years until until probably the last 5 years, they had a tradition of having a Thanksgiving dinner, which was a big thing.
And so you're bringing that back.
We're bringing her back. Yes, sir.
Very nice.
So that's what we're going to do is the Thanksgiving dinner. And then on that Friday is going to be our opening to the Christmas Village. So Honey Creek Resort Christmas Village with lighting of the Christmas tree. And there'll be, of course, Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus will be there. And there'll be some friends from Coca-Cola will be there, i.e. the polar bear and all kinds of stuff. So we're excited about that.
This is a really interesting story because you located Centerville. You said your headquarters into Centerville with the idea that you could use the Honey Creek as a conference extension and host things there. And your solution to, it's not exactly up to par. It's not up to snuff with the way we want things to go. So your solution is let's just buy the whole thing.
Well, not quite exactly that way. What we did was we wanted to see change. Change was so important. We got to know a lot of people in and around southern Iowa. Beth's originally from Iowa, and actually her grandfather grew up in Centerville, and then he founded AIB back in the 1920s. So we've got roots right back to there.
How far,
and really a connection.
How far is, I don't remember the answer to this, but how far is Centerville from Rathbun Lake?
Oh, not very far. If you flew
like 5 minute drive, something like that?
It depends on what part of the lake you're going to, but I'd say the closest ramp is maybe 10 minutes outside of Centerville.
Yeah,
okay.
It's not too far.
It's not far at all.
Got it. Okay. So what you said something key, which is you saw things just weren't really going the way you wanted them to. What were those things? What were some of the things that you were like, we really want this to change?
Well, at a resort, we look at a resort, especially with the bones that Honey Creek Resort has, it should be a 4-star, 5-star resort.
Wow. Okay.
And if you're going to be a 4-star, 5-star resort, you got to have excellent hospitality.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you have to be open year round.
True. That
was one of the key things that we said we've got to change that.
Yeah.
And it's not only, for the guests, but it's for the economy as well.
And you've also got to have a facility, but hospitality is job one. Obviously, having a facility that's up to updated and is a place that people will aspire to come. And, the neat thing of it is it's got the bones. And if you were to come out there today, Justin, you'd see that we've made a huge amount of changes and more changes are on their way. So we're really excited because the other thing you got to do is, in southern Iowa, it's a destination. We like to call it Iowa's preferred destination. And if we're going to be that, we need to have a lot to do.
Well, we also need to get the word out. So we really appreciate you having us on your podcast. And we're seeing now that we're getting some legs with some of the media. Mm-hmm. And we've been so surprised at the lack of visibility Honey Creek has had. Even from Des Moines.
You're talking historically.
Historically, yes. Yes. But we've had guests for the first time come out and say, we didn't even know this was here, and we're from Des Moines.
Right.
It's very common.
Because for years, it was like, and I don't understand how this works, but for years, it was run by the DN, not run by, but the DNR owns it or something. Can you describe that relationship historically, and is that changing at all?
It will, yes. So to answer that question, the answer is yes, it is changing. It is, you could say that it's owned by the state of Iowa, obviously, and it was built in 2007. It was opened in 2008. It was a project at that time by then Governor Tom Vilsack, who, by the way, Tom Vilsack's now the Secretary of Agriculture for the Biden administration. But anyway, long and short of it is that the resort was managed by the DNR, and then they brought in a management company out of Minnesota called Central Group. Then about 2016, they decided to take a different route, and they went to what's called a concessionaire agreement. And they did that with a group out of Buffalo, New York called Delaware North. Mm-hmm. And at that time, things, I guess it may have worked out for a year or so, but from there it started reaching kind of a demise. I think they lost interest. They didn't have the connections to Iowa, those kinds of things.
You mentioned Beth, that like 4 or 5 star, I think you mentioned that 4 or 5 star resort is where you want to head with this. So in what ways is it not that now? Like, I don't think a lot of people in general know what that even means. Like what has to, other than being open 12 months out of the year, what has to change for it to be a 4 to 5 star resort? Because I have a background in hospitality. A lot of people don't know that.
Oh, that's good to
and
know.
so I do know what the 4 to 5 point means, but a lot of people don't know what that means. So
Right.
what should they, obviously, what would they expect once that transition takes place? How long does that take? That kind of thing.
Right. Well, it's never really reached its potential. And I would say it's more of a 4-star style resort than a 5-star. But if we could, if we can get to 4-star, that would be wonderful. If we can exceed that, that would be even better. The main thing is it's got to be a destination where people come and they want to come back. They have a wonderful experience. It feels like you're on vacation, and there has to be plenty to do for the whole family. For the kids, for the adults. We've added some new excursions. We've brought in some really fun activities. We've got our draft horses out there. We bring them out daily, and we have carriage rides. For the holidays, we're going to be doing sleigh rides and things around, the Christmas and New Year's, and we're really going to play up the holidays. So another thing that you have to have is you have to have a good restaurant, good eating options for guests. Food and banquet. Absolutely. So, we have really started changing that and upgrading our food, and our restaurant we changed the name just to kind of freshen it up a bit. We named it the Prairie Rose, which is the Iowa State flower, of course.
I do like that. Yeah.
So that's kind of the steakhouse feel. You can get a nice meal for a decent price, great quality food, farm to fork. Then we'll have other options. We just finished renovating the party room, which is right off the pool area. We've got a wonderful indoor water park, which is great fun for families and kids. And we've redone the party room. It can be rented for birthday parties. It's available for the guests, for private parties. And in there is more fair food, snack bar food, but fun food for kids and families if they don't want to go have a sit-down meal in the restaurant. We've also renovated what used to be called the Nature Center, and it's a building that's adjacent to the lodge. It was built originally by Iowa State University, and they used it for their
experimentation on solar energy.
Yeah, green energy experiments.
Okay.
And they used it for a few years, and then the DNR used it for some educational programs as well. Then it kind of turned into a storage building. So when we got there, I had this vision of making it into something special. It's not a big building, but it's a 2-story building. So the lower level is a fun general store, and we'll be serving pulled pork sandwiches and draft root beer floats.
That's fun.
Which is great, and they're wonderful. And then upstairs is going to be a fine wine and bourbon bar, more for the adults, and that can be...
and this is on the resort,
This is on the resort,
it's just right across from the lodge.
Yeah.
So these are the kinds of things that you need to offer to have a 4-star resort. You've got to have different experiences.
Yeah.
So people stay. You want them to stay on the property. There's not a whole lot else out there around Appanoose County. I mean, there's Centerville, there's Albia, there are fun little towns to go explore as well, which we are, partnering with the chambers to help support local businesses.
Which brings us to kind of another point, Beth. Why just kind of throw this in that there's 105 rooms in the lodge, and thanks to a good friend down in Bloomfield. He had this idea he brought to us. He said, why don't you name 99 of those rooms, one after each county? And I said, done. So a guy named Joe Dotter down at the Red Shed in Bloomfield came up with that idea, and
so we ran with it.
So we ran with it.
I do love that idea.
Today, if you were to come through the halls, you'd find that every county has a plaque outside on the door. It's got the state of Iowa. It's it's obviously shaped like state of Iowa. The plaque is, and then it's highlighted the county. So whether it's Almaquis County to Winneshiek to you name it, all the way down to Appanoose County and all places there between have a tribute to each and every county. And then what's being done is we're working with the chambers of each one of those counties, and then they'll have some highlights in that actual room. So there'll be a framed highlight of what that county's known for and what they have to offer. So it's just a really neat, another tribute to Iowa, because at the end of the day, kind of being an outsider, I grew up in Oklahoma, and I came up here in the 80s, and that's where Beth and I met. But really, at the end of the day, we've always had, at least I have, and Beth's always been kind of had a core connection to Iowa, but through more of I call it inspiration and aspiration to want to be in Iowa, and that's kind of the reason that we're here, and we're bound and determined to make it a better place than when we found it.
No, and we appreciate that, of course. But it's going to be a tough journey, and I'm sure you're aware of that. Like I always think of the Hotel Pattee. It's been here for a while. It has a great reputation, but it has also really struggled through the years because it takes a lot of energy, a lot of money, and a lot of effort to do something like this right. And so, I have a lot of questions. We'll move to the agritourism trend because that's actually a big thing we've talked about on this show. But first, do you have capacity? Do you have access to staffing? Because if you have if you want to do the resort, you have to have access to staffing, and it's not exactly cheap to staff up. I know that's something that the Pattee has struggled with in the past. So is that a hurdle you've solved?
That question comes up quite often, Justin. Actually, the question oftentimes, can you get enough people?
Yeah.
The answer to that is yes, we can get enough people. The bigger question is getting the right people that want to be part of an image, a vision that Beth has for this resort, and I'm along for the ride to try to see that happens. So just a point of reference, Beth is the president and CEO of Achieva Enterprises, which is actually the
ownership company.
The ownership company of this. And it all rolls into what's called Achieva Inc., but nevertheless, she's the president CEO, and it's really a neat thing because we've done this with the invitation originally of Governor Reynolds. She saw a video that Beth put together. It was called Honey Creek Resort: What It Could Be. And because we have that, our company, of course, has background in doing online training, and so we did a lot of video work. So we Beth put this video together and kind of lined up what this could be with all and we already talked a little bit about the sleigh rides and the winter activities, the fireside family outings, the chuck wagon dinners, and all those kinds of things. Yeah. It's a wonderful place for conferences and conventions, and it's perfect for agriculture because obviously we're sitting right here in Iowa, right at the core of agriculture, with so many companies and organizations and corporations all have either, if they don't have their headquarters here, they've got a connection to Iowa. So, and for that matter, as well as Missouri and Nebraska, we get a tremendous amount of Missourians, especially Nebraskans, that come to the resort. So we really welcome our Cornhusker friends and the Missourian friends, and for that matter, the Illini folks can come over, and the Minnesotans can come down as well. So we're excited about having them all come in.
Because we've talked about this on the show, but agritourism is actually really hot. And I know people in Iowa, we take it for granted. We're like, it's rural, it's flat, and that's actually not true. It's flat during 80 and 35. That's why they built the interstates there, I'm guessing, because 80 and 35 were flat zones. But Iowa's actually not flat. It has some really cool topography if you check the corners. But I know a lot of Iowans that grow up here, it's always a surprise when we hear people like agritourism. We hear people choosing to come to Iowa. We love it here. We love to live here, but it's not, we don't have New York City. We don't have mountains. We don't have oceans. And so people are kind of surprised that love it here, that people would actually come here for a vacation. But this is now a thing, which is shocking. Are you hoping to tap into that trend?
Yes, absolutely. And what's so appealing about Iowa is the natural resources. And down in southern Iowa, you were talking about the topography. The rolling hills are beautiful. The wildlife is just extraordinary. I mean, right now, the deer are just abundant. I mean, we've seen so many bucks the last few weeks.
Oh, sure.
And the bald eagles in the wintertime down at Rathbun Lake, when it freezes over, the bald eagles just come in just hundreds of them. And that is just a wonderful phenomenon in itself, just to go down and sit and watch all these bald eagles sitting on the ice fishing.
Yeah, a lot of people say, does ice fishing happen at Rathbun Lake? And the answer is yes, of course it does. But
not only people.
It's not only people. It's groves and groves of beautiful bald eagles come out there, and it's quite a phenomena.
Well, and also the migration of the waterfowl.
I didn't think about that.
Pelicans are migrating right now, and it's really amazing to see all this wildlife. So the resort sits right on the lake. And we are so fortunate for the location. It's not very populated, so we really need to encourage people to come down and see what southern Iowa is all about.
We need to change Iowa's favorite and hidden gem to being Iowa's preferred destination, not only for just Iowans, but for the entire region. And we're out to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's a lot of great places in Iowa, but I don't really know where is there a resort this size anywhere in the state that would be similar? I don't think it exists.
I don't think so. No.
So you very well, have a big opportunity in front of you. Are there any comps that maybe Midwest travelers would is there anything in your mind you're like, we want to be kind of like that? I mean, obviously you don't want to copy paste another resort, but is there anything that people may be familiar with?
Well, if you go to Branson,
yeah.
I mean, if you go to Branson, that'd be your closest place. And, I would tell you that there's really nothing down at Lake of the Ozarks either, because this lake is pristine. I mean, I say that because it's not nearly as crowded. It's much more of a family-oriented lake. It's, it is Iowa's largest recreational lake. 11,000.
Rathbun is?
Yes.
Really?
Yes,
oh,
sir.
okay.
It is.
11,000 acres. And keep in mind, too, that it just got a really neat article was done by the Fisherman Magazine, Fisherman publication, and it talked about that Rathbun is one of the greatest fisheries as far as freshwater fisheries in the entire country.
Really?
Yeah, it talked about a lot of walleye, and of course we have great crappie fishing as well, and then bass fishing and catfish. But it's quite well known to be a wonderful fishery. It's only getting better.
Which we also have pontoon rentals in the summertime.
We've done that. Yeah, we've done that. Now, is previously, and I don't know if you'd agree with this, but previously I felt like the idea was good, but the execution was not. It was just kind of halfway done.
Fair.
And so you'd agrie with that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So when you said Branson, are you talking like the Big Cedar Lodge area? Is that kind of...
Yeah, I mean, Big Cedar Lodge is a good example. The Kettering Lodge that's done by the College of the Ozarks, both of those places.
True, that's a good point.
And, you come see, and once you experience the lodge at Honey Creek Resort, it's got all the bones. It's got, and we're in the midst of remodeling everything. New carpet, new flooring.
Remodeling all the cabins, 28 cabins.
And all the rooms in the lodge, obviously all the hallways. It's, you wouldn't recognize it today, and we've only had it since April.
Huh, wow.
But, and we're moving very, very quick. Justin, the other thing that's really important to know, we're really blessed to have some really wonderful labor down in our way. One of the things we told Governor Reynolds was we were going to do this with local labor, and we were going to do it with 3 goals in mind, and that's quality, timeliness, and also value. So when we go out to construct or remodel anything and renew everything around that lodge, that's the 3 goals we have in mind, and it's worked out very, very well. Again, the Amish labor, Beth and I have had experience even back to our time in Indiana, we had some experience with some Amish labor, and it's worked out very, very well. We've got wonderful contractors in addition to the Amish labor. We've got some really good contractors for Southern Iowa, local support, local labor. It just means the world to us to be able to have those folks be a part of making this Iowa's preferred destination.
And we want to provide opportunities for the local communities, and the Amish community we've got a big Amish community down in Southern Iowa, and they're very excited about the resort as well. So they've been very supportive. They're talented. They love what they do, and they've been wonderful.
Something like the old saying,
I just can't say
they
enough.
love what they do and they do what they love. And there's a lot to be said about that. And we've been, it's like anybody. You kind of sort through and you really get the ones that are real craftsmen and stuff. They're kind of state-of-the-art craftsmen. We've been really, really blessed. We've gotten to know the Nisley family down there, and they do a lot of our labor, and they're on site every day throughout the year.
So there's a lot you've thrown out. You've mentioned a lot of things that even people who have been to the Honey Creek before probably didn't know. I'll try to get to as many as we can, but you mentioned renovations, new paint, new carpet, that's one thing, but what are you changing to get to that 4 to 5 star thing as far as amenities? What does that look like? Some actual things that would be different when people came down there.
Beth mentioned the depot with the wine and fine bourbon bar, the general store underneath. That's all new, and if you saw it, you'd really understand this. We put not only resources as far as financial resources into it, but we also put a fair amount of blood, sweat, and tears from the standpoint of really making sure that was constructed in a way that would be very attractive for our guests. So it's kind of got a rustic feel to it, but they're very, very nice facilities. And then if you look to carry that a little bit further, Beth mentioned the cove that we call it a cove. It's basically the upper floor of the indoor water park. And by the way, that indoor water park's also been rehabbed as well, because when we came in, we had to do all kinds of things just to get it where we wanted it to be. And of course, that meant to be able to pass all the inspections and that. But anyhow, going back to what we call the cove, and we're really excited because you're going to hear more and more, but we've got a partnership that's going to be announced here shortly. I guess I'll go ahead and tell you about it, and that is the Atlantic Coca-Cola Bottling Company. We've had some very, very heartfelt and really wonderful discussions with that group. And of course, they're a local owned by the Tyler family right here in the Iowa area. And in fact, specifically, they're located out in Waukee, but they've got a regional office down in Tumwa. So super excited about that. So there's
what is that? Things. What is outside of? Are they partnering like an investor, or is it like a group contract? Like, what does that look like?
Well, they'll have things like there'll be a Coca-Cola cafe that's going to be outside. There's going to be the Coca-Cola cafe. There's going to be the Coca-Cola Cove. There'll be one of the cabins that they'll be utilizing. There'll be a Coca-Cola cabin.
Fun.
So
they'll also be sponsoring some large events as well, and bringing in groups of people and events and lots of sponsorships for that. That's really going to help get the visibility that we need as well with all of their contacts. And, you can't go wrong with Coke.
Yeah. Yeah, and
it's the image.
I like what you're saying because, again, the only thing I have to reference this in my head is Big Cedar. My family's gone down to Big Cedar quite a bit, and I think there's this idea that they call theirs a wilderness lodge or a wilderness resort is what they do. And so I think unless you've seen something like this done right, in your mind, you're like, people don't go to the wilderness in the middle of nowhere for a resort experience. That's not what people do. But if you'd see the way they've constructed things down there, that's absolutely not true. People do want like rural farmland, wilderness destinations, but what you said, Beth, is they do have to have activities there beyond just sitting around a fire.
I want to describe.
And that's what you guys are trying to do.
Right. And we will bring in entertainers and, as we build the reputation and get things up and running, we're going to have all kinds of different events and, to draw people down there. So there will be things to do.
Just the last minute here. Why don't you talk about what is immediate here, like Christmas time and Thanksgiving time? Why don't you talk about events there and then end with the website and how people get in touch with you and how they book a room?
Let's start with Polar Express. We've got as you were talking about Big Cedar Lodge, we have no reason to take second seat to Big Cedar Lodge.
I like hearing that.
And I'll be real.
Let's give Johnny Morris a run for his money. Let's do that.
But
watch out, Johnny! They're coming for you.
I would tell you this: that our train amusement ride is second to none. We brought in the very best that you can buy as far as amusement train rides. It goes out through a trail that we have absolutely gorgeous. You're always seeing wildlife. You see the lake on one side. You see the wildlife on others. And I actually take an opportunity to be the conductor for that train periodically.
Do you wear the hat?
I do.
Okay, just had to
and
ask.
I'm only able to do it maybe 10% of the time, but I really enjoy doing it because it gives a chance to kind of connect with the visitors and kind of understand how we're doing. So we're checking in because we're our own best secret shoppers, and so they need to know that Beth and we're going to be there. We're going to be hands on. We're not going to be out of state owners and
that makes
investors.
a big difference, I think.
Yeah.
Does to us.
I'm going to dovetail off that too as far as the event because I know we only have a minute left.
Talk about the horse-drawn carriage rides.
Last thoughts go to Beth and then give the website out. Absolutely.
Okay. So the day after, we're having the big Thanksgiving buffet. We're bringing that back. So we are hoping to draw people to come stay for the weekend because we are going to have a lot going on. The Friday after Thanksgiving, we'll be doing the kickoff to the holidays. Terry talked about the Polar Express. We're going to have Santa and Mrs. Claus there. Victorian Christmas carolers. Coca-Cola is going to be there in a big way. We'll have the polar bear there, some other exciting things from Coca-Cola as well.
Fun. Yeah.
And it's going to be a really, really fun experience. We're going to have a tree lighting. It just goes on and on. So we really plan to play up the holidays, get people down there, get people excited, and hopefully they'll want to come back for more. So our website is www.honeycreekresort.com. So please go to our website, go to our Facebook page, like us, and please make a reservation. Come down and see us. We'd love to have you and show what we've done so far and share all the excitement that's going on.
And come this fall and winter. Don't wait till the summer.
No,
That's right.
Don't wait till summer.
It's not closed 8 months out of the year anymore, people. Yeah. Beth and Terry Henderson, new owners, I should say, of the Honey Creek Resort on Lake Rathbun. Thank you so much for coming on the Iowa podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
And to my fellow Iowans, Iowa expats, and Iowans at heart, thanks for listening and subscribing to the Iowa podcast.